All right, I think that should be a good amount of time to let everything load and get ready. So, hello and welcome everyone to our webinar, D365 FSCM Updates Testing, How to Make It Simple. I'm Jacob Davis, and I'll be your moderator for the webinar. Just a couple of quick housekeeping items before we get started. The chat and the QA are on. I believe you can find them at the bottom of your screen there. So feel free to ask questions during the webinar in the Q&A, and we'll try to respond to them as we go along. And also, we'll have a bit of a time left at the end to address anything that we didn't cover. Also, we're recording this session, and we'll make sure to send it over to all the attendees at the email address that you registered with. So if you registered with like a Gmail or Yahoo account, make sure to check that one as well. And now I think it's time for the good parts of the show. I'm really happy to introduce everybody to my colleagues, Mateusz Łukowiec and Bartosz Śpiech. Matt is the Partnership Development Manager at X Plus SA, and he'll share his knowledge and years of experience on this critical testing topic about testing the updates. And Bart, he's one of the leading minds in the world when it comes to test automation and Dynamics 365, and is also the product manager here at X Plus. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the thoughts they have to share with us today and their experience. Now I'll get into the agenda. We'll talk about the top 5 most common issues in D365 FSCM testing projects from what our experience is, as well as how to select the right test automation tool for your company. And after that, we'll move into Executive Automat Showcase. This is the test automation solution that we've got here at X Plus. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to get started with test automation, because we know that many companies are still doing testing manually, and it's important to know some of the things you need to do to get started when you move into automation. So, and of course, finally, always a hot topic is how to leverage Azure DevOps with your testing projects. So, and of course, at the end, as I mentioned, we'll try to save 5-10 minutes for a Q&A session, so we can make sure to cover everything that we may have missed during the webinar. So, with that, I'll turn it over to the stars of the show. I believe Matt, you're up, man.
Thank you very much, Jake. Appreciate the introduction and the brief overview of our agenda. So, my name is Mateusz. I'm the Partnership Development Manager, like Jake said, and it's a great pleasure and a privilege to be able to tell you a little bit more about the most common issues that we observe lately on the test automation market and on the testing market in general. So these are the things that we often face during the projects, or that we hear that our clients are facing. And the most common one is that companies are using their business users to do the testing, and this is often causing a lot of chaos for the organization and for the stability of the test plan, because these business users, they have their day-to-day job, and if they get the task to complete some test cases to go through the testing, they need to do it aside of their day-to-day job, and they're not happy to do it. They never are, and for everyone involved, for the test manager, for the project manager, it's often very chaotic to organize that and get some good results with that. So what is a good solution to that we recommend for our clients? It's, of course, to get a dedicated team that will be responsible for the testing, and that will take over this, that will be the owner of this of the testing in the organization. But that's not all. If they are testing manually, there's always this problem with the reliability of the testing, because if you have a test plan with 500 test cases, and you're using even the dedicated QA team to go through that, there's always some possibility that one of the testers or some of the test cases will get overlooked. Something very important, some critical business process, or some critical test case around a critical business process will be overlooked, and a bug will come to production, which may cause some big losses for the company. So manual testing is not that reliable because of human error, and it's also slow, and it's often holding clients back in their projects because coming back to the example with 500 test cases, if this is your test plan and you have and it takes you something like, let's say 20 or 21 man days to complete these 500 test scripts, to go through them one time, then if you have a team of 2 full-time testers, then this is 2 weeks of their full-time work to just go through each and every test case once. And of course, during the regression test plan, you will have to come back to a few of the test scripts or the test cases, or the entire test suite, or yeah, even a few test suites. So this won't be 20 man days. This will very often be more than that. So you cannot move slow. You cannot move fast. You cannot adopt the updates or test your own code quickly. And because of that, manual testing is expensive. If it takes you 20 man days to go through one regression test cycle, then if you want to adopt 8 updates, which is Microsoft's plan for 2022, I believe, it will take you 160 man days just to go through each of the 500 test cases once before every update. And as I mentioned before, this will be more than that. You will have to test more. You will have to retest. You will have, beside testing of Microsoft updates, you will want to test your own code releases. So manual testing is a big problem because of that. It's just expensive and slow. And clients often have, even if clients are okay with using their business users to do the testing, if they're okay with the reliability of manual testing and of the fact that it is slow and expensive, then we still often find that they're just not sure if they're doing this right, if they completed the project right, if the way they defined the test cases and their test strategy was fine. And they often come to us and ask the question, can you take a look at our test plan and our test cases, our test strategy, are we doing this right? And what is the solution to these common issues that we suggest or that we propose? We believe this is automated testing, because even if you are testing with your business users and not having a dedicated QA team, then if you automate these test cases that you have, these 500 test cases, then you will only have to do that once. And moving forward, you will, each and every full regression test plan will only take you a few hours and not 21 man days. You will have to consult your business users from time to time, of course, and include them in the creation of the test scripts, but they won't have to be taken away from their day-to-day job for 160 man days every year. It will rather be a few man days every year. The reliability aspect of that will be greatly increased. Test scripts are just logic, just instructions, code executing in the application. So there's no possibility of a human error, except for the fact that a tester can maybe record the test case incorrectly. But this will be very quickly found out if you're using automated testing and testing often. Then there is the fact that if you automate these 500 test scripts, instead of spending 21 man days per Microsoft update or per a full regression test plan, you will rather be spending 2 or 3 hours to just schedule the execution of all the test scripts that you have and wait for the results. This will be very quick. It will allow you to be way more agile and you will be able to retest entire test suites, specific test cases, entire test plan at will, because once you have these test scripts prepared in the tool, in a test automation tool, then executing them only takes you a few minutes, and then you can just wait for the results and analyze them. And because of that, of course, manual testing, automated testing can bring you huge savings, because if manual testing is costing you 160 man days, and that is a very low estimate, I would say, for most clients, then if you automate this test plan and do the testing with a test automation tool, then like I said, instead of spending this 21 man days per full regression test cycle, you'll be rather spending a man day or two just to go through the entire test plan, analyze the results, retest things. The testing part of it will be quick, because like I said, executing 500 test scripts will take 2 or 3 hours, maybe 4 hours if you have long scripts, but that's about it. And test automation can also help you with the theory, with the project, with the methodology. We have a methodology of how to approach test automation projects in an optimal way. And we are happy to share this knowledge. We have some ebooks on the topic, some articles, and we've got a full department dedicated for testing projects that is happy to help. But we've come to the conclusion that automated testing can greatly help you with the most common issues with testing projects in Dynamics Finance and Operations. But how do you select the right tool to do this test automation, to automate your testing? Well, we believe that the right tool should be easy to use, first of all, and should be fairly easy to start with, because this is a trend like that we see lately on the market, that companies want to use their own IT departments to be the owner of the testing, and they want to train their own people. And of course, developers or highly technical people, experienced consultants are expensive and hard to come by as well. So you want a tool that you will be able to train a regular junior tester, or even a student coming out of the university to work for you as a tester. You want a tool that you can quickly get people operational with it, that is very easy to use. What else? You want a tool that is stable and repeatable. This is the goal of test automation. You don't want a tool that you will have to come back to your test scripts and edit, modify them over and over again, because they will be breaking even if nothing changes in the system. You want a tool that a script recorded once will execute pretty much forever until there are some changes either in your system or in Dynamics or in the test case. It needs to be repeatable, because only then you can reap these benefits of executing a single test script hundreds or thousands of times at no additional cost. What else? You'd like a tool that is flexible and efficient. This is kind of connected to this ease of use, because what it allows you to do is just to spend less time creating your scripts, modifying them over time. If you can find a tool that is very flexible and allows you, for example, to record one process and very easily create 20 different test scripts out of that, and that cover 20 different test cases, then that tool will be very helpful for you, because it will just bring you this efficiency, right? Instead of spending 200 man days on completing the project to deliver all your test scripts, you will spend, let's say, half of that if the tool is flexible and efficient. What else? You'd like this tool to be, of course, integrated with Azure DevOps, because that will allow you to work with your business users, easily communicate with them on the requirements for all your different test cases, and it will allow you to move the results from your testing to a one central place. It will also allow you to integrate the test script executions with your pipelines in DevOps. And the right test management tool will also support your test methodology. And I am suggesting DevOps here because this is what most of clients on finance and operations or in our Dynamics world use. But of course, if you use a different test management tool, then you should look for a tool that supports your needs, your test management tool, of course. And lastly, you should look for a tool that is proven and reliable, that is used by clients from all different industries from all around the world, that you can easily find references to, or that you can find and talk to clients who are using the tool. And our tool is actually such a tool, and we are actually very happy to be celebrating soon the 10-year anniversary of Executive Automats. And what I would like to invite you all to is our D365 test automation certification. This is really a perfect way of getting to know our solution, of trying it out yourself, of playing with it yourself. This is a course that we use for our end user training. It's designed to just teach you all the basic features of the tool. Through hands-on practice, you complete tasks from a day-to-day job of a tester, and we are actually doing next week free wave, so you can participate in it for free. We have 30 spots available, and the registration is open until Monday. I will say a few more words towards the end about the certification, and now I will paste the link to the chat. But for now, I'd like to give the voice to Bartosz Szpiech. Bart is the product manager for EA, for Executive Automats, and he will take you through the presentation of the tool. Bart?
Thank you so much. It was a lovely presentation. This is sometimes for me, it's a super nice feeling that it's been 10 years. We've gained so much information. Thanks to people, thanks to professionals like Matt, we are able to understand better the market, as Matt and many more people are daily working with the customers with the projects which are delivered. Just want to confirm if you can see the screen. If yes,
yes, we can see that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So yeah, on the screen right now, you see the Executive Automats. This is one of the presentation environments we utilize for showcases, for customer POCs. And I would like to give you a story, what exactly is Executive Automats and what you can expect from it. So the Executive Automats, as Matt mentioned, 10 years gave us a possibility to start with AX 2009, 2012, of course, walking through, and right now in finance and operations, or finance and supply chain management. We are supporting all of those applications, different tool sets, but here today we're going to focus on FSCM. The Executive Automats platform can be identified, understood as one centralized place where you define all of your environments like dev, UAT, pre-prod, release, and so on, where you build your test cases, so-called scripts, and end-to-end processes, which can stand for everything that you perform in your business. Sales, of course, it can be a specific process delivering not only sales creation, but it might be dispatching, reservations, invoicing, reconciliations, closing the sales, and deleting from the system. Overall, we always recommend to create a long end-to-end processes so they verify the system in a very complex way. So this is the script. Then we've got the projects, and projects are giving you a huge benefit if you're going to aggregate your test cases underneath a specific module, or you're going to pick direction of work streams. This will simply mean that you are able to run a smoke test or regression test based on your needs. let's say you're modifying main accounts, the chart of accounts in the organization, you were able to address all the processes which might be affected by this change. You've got a new rollout, you can build here a new entity. So let's say we are deploying a rollout in Switzerland. I can build one specific category or sub-project for Switzerland, and I can build there my test cases. If I modify or deploy a regulation package, which is actually addressing that location, I'm able to test all of the processes which are executed there. So this gives me flexibility. This gives me a quick reaction on changes to verify if I'm not promoting a bugged code to the system. Of course, in the project section, we've got quite a bit of other possibilities, dedicating systems, dedicating users, but let's leave this aside and to move to scheduler. This is a planning mechanism, planning which gives you the chance to execute your test cases in a very comfortable, convenient moment of the week. Let's say we're going to run on Friday night a regression test, which is going to be a complex verification of everything that we've performed. Verification of everything that we changed within development. And Monday morning, the first thing we do, we just overview if the stability of the application is meeting our expectations. And we then can start the triage or start the deployment procedure. You can have multiple schedulers. They can be readdressed to the environments. And also we use them for performance test. Performance test and security creation generation. These are two topics that we could discuss today, but since we are focusing on something else, if you're going to be interested, how we create security roles, duties, and privileges from scripts to create very tailored roles, optimized from the licensing and UI perspective, just let us know, as well as the performance test if you are interested in running a performance test against your environment to feel if you're going to be able to handle hundreds of users performing the same task in the same moment of the day, performing like a stress test or actual performance test. These activities can be done with executive automats. With that being said, I'm going to jump into scripts where we're going to create an example of test case. Let's jump into the projects. The first thing, you have to select the area where I will save my script. Let's think of some sample script that let it be PO creation, as simple as it sounds, but it will give us some possibility to check the results and so on. Accounts payable, 0201, purchase, order creation. The naming convention is, of course, up to you. We are here to help you with naming conventions. They are very helpful. Different segments of the name can lead to a different entity, different variant, like international, affiliated entity, and so on, intercompany transaction. When the script is created, right now it is empty. Before you're going to start the recording, you can always think, oh, there is already a script created. So I can actually load a existing script into this script to not record, but actually use what is existing. And actually, I can not even start the recording. I can go here to any of script, and I can copy some elements, and I can paste it into the one we are creating. So this is always a question: should I create or should I reuse? And reusability is one of the aspects we are always focusing the most to make sure that your test case that you created can be used in multiple directions. So we do test once and we are able to recreate it, reuse it multiple times. So they are actually creating a value, benefit of using the test automation. Let's assume we don't have the process ready. So I can actually create a one, record. System opens up another page. This is an interface of Advanced Recorder. On the right-hand side, we've got a list page, which shows us all the steps that we've created, recorded. We've got a possibility to switch from recorder to player. I'm able to record, save the results. And when the system loaded on the workspace, I can simply click record. So system can carefully track all elements that we are clicking. On the right-hand side, you're going to see all the changes, all clicks, all the buttons that we're going to use. They're going to be identified by the system. and later on we'll be able to work with them. Okay. One of the focuses, as we were discussing the reusability, is the flexibility of the script. So I can redirect it into another environment. So right now I'm selecting A002. If I'm going to expand that and hit edit mode, I can always edit this. I don't need to use the same item ID for next transaction. I can change that for different constant value. Constant means it will always repeat the same value for the transaction. If I'm going to change this to 1, it will always use A001. There are other options for developers, expressions, and advanced code. So you can invoke some APIs, you can transform some data here for advanced usage. Also, picker stands for very user-friendly functionalities like applying Excel file to the script, like using number sequences for the processes. So when we would like to post a product received, instead of typing and changing over and over the script, defining unique value, I can use number sequence from one of those which we've got in executive automats. I can simply apply it, and every time we run the process, it's always selecting something new, iterating through the number sequence, delivering unique values, giving me the chance to run my process 100 times with unique data. So then finally, the script is reusable. Comment is also essential, because if you're going to have a perfect description of your actions that you are performing in the system, you'll be able to have nice looking documentation for the business users. So as a side effect, aside of the testing, you're going to have an onboarding materials for the users so they can benefit from understanding the business better. As you see, I'm confirming the purchase. So I'm going to change the status. There is here, the dialog box button, which is another essence. The dialog boxes are happening from time to time. So you may find yourself in a situation where dialog box will confuse or mess up with your test cases. That's why we automatically sign this as optional. So it might happen, but this is only on some circumstances. In some cases, it will be not visible. So we are continuing the execution. Normally, we expect that all steps that you perform, they're going to be available. They're going to be possible for playback. If something is not here, something is in a different place, system will show you an error message or warning message. So just to tell you that the process changed and you have to be careful with promoting this code to the production. I just clicked here on inspection. So right now I can catch any value visible here on the interface, begin with fields, descriptions, info logs, so on. I can save them as a variable. So I can save the status of the PO as a variable just to transfer it to a different place, or I can mark create the condition so I can verify if in my script, in that specific moment, this transaction will have status equal to confirmed. If it will be not equal to confirmed, then we're going to have a warning message. Oops, status is wrong. I need to verify that. So we are not caring only about the doable, if the process is doable, of the stability of the execution, that there are no error messages. We are also caring about the results. So the result can give me yes or no on the test case. It can, on the other hand, give me a negative testing. I want to see if the test case fail, because the fail is actually success for me. So I can think the opposite direction testing. With that being said, I'm going to switch from the recorder to player to make a consistency check. When we are recording, we are thinking about, again, the maximum optimization of the user interface. You are able to record, check. If it is good, then continue the recording. So you are operating and moving smoothly through the business context of your business process. So your recordings will be clean, they're going to be optimized, they're going to be reusable. And these are the most values we are offering to our customers. As you see on the right-hand side, we've got a statuses of every step. The countdown of the seconds is also saved in the log files. So you clearly understand how much time you needed for every action. And in case that there's going to be any warning message, error message, it's going to be catched by the status. If everything went through the successes, I can switch back to the recorder, to simply continue my process with going to journals and applying more changes to the process, verifying the amount, VAT, and so on and so on. I'm going to simply catch the amount transaction as another variable and create. With that being said, I can pause it, I can come back to the dynamics. And now I can play back the process in the background. I can play back the process in the background, so I don't see the execution. It will simply create a documentation from the specific process, and I'll be able to use it for evidence of testing. As you know, military, pharmacy, aviation, there are highly regulated industries which need to have the evidence of testing. And we've got a specific variant of the test automation, which is dedicated for these industries. So you are able to gather evidence of testing to be aligned with GXPs. So you are able to test in adequate way your entire system. When your test case is ready and you've got all pieces in place, you can change the status, ready for review. So your test manager or QA analyst can go in here, verify consistency, apply number sequences, make steps optional, reuse, combine into end-to-end. When this is done, change to publish. And when publishing, you can also export the test case into DevOps. When exporting to DevOps, then you are able to run them from DevOps as a test plan and treat DevOps as dashboard. So Executive Automates is fully integrated with DevOps. And then in case that you're going to fail on some execution, you can automatically create work item on the DevOps side and apply developer, assign developer to the specific work item so they can work on it. With that being said, I'm going to jump in to one of the preview features. As you know, the application is developed by the community in so-called. We've been notified that we just tested the process with success. Good to know. The application is developed in community-driven roadmap, which means that every idea which comes from the customer or you, on every audience that we've got on webinars, is converted to the roadmap, and then it's addressed by the modifications. Right now, we can see one of the new features which will come into the application in the new version. We are able to convert not only to the document, an end-to-end document which describes the process. Let me show you the one we produced here. This is the document which we've created for our accounts per AP accounts payable purchasing process, step-by-step instruction with screenshots and highlighting the selected elements. It goes to the end as well with some verification of the status at the end. So this can be easily used for verification and onboarding. And here we've got the verification of what was checked. Aside of this, system in the new release will give you the chance to save also videos from the process. So system can create a video, which can be then later played back, and you are able to see how the process was going through sales creation in that specific case. And the user can learn from it, understand how to perform that specific business process. This and much, much more, as you heard, performance testing, security testing. So a lot of topics we are covering to make sure that the executive automate will bring some answers to you to operate smoothly in the one version of Dynamics, which is making a significant challenges lately in the market, especially concerned about the new grid controls and some other features which are coming in update 50. Let me jump into the Miro, as I would like to give you some understandings of how to start with automatic testing when you are doing only manual testing now, or you are wondering that you've got perfect plan for manual testing and how to convert that easily to the automation. So we've seen few problems on the market when it comes to the testing. Business users are very often overloaded, and on the top of their daily activities, they are just spammed with a need for testing. So at the beginning, they are quite operative. They are doing what they need to test the environment, to test the stability. But on some moment, they are starting to feel overwhelmed. They don't have any more free time, and they have to do over hours to test the environment, which becomes a frustration. And what they're going to do sometimes is not even tell you that there is a bug in the system. They'll test in a very minor way, in a way that it will be not actually adequate, or they will actually start to say that they've already tested. We've seen this situation very often where the business is overwhelmed, and it is sometimes hard to argue with them. Without the tests, you are promoting code which is bugged, and on the production, they realize suddenly that day-by-day business is not any longer possible to be done on the new production because they've actually let into the production a bugged version. So the IT right now is in heavy pain, and they have to triage what happened, and they're going to find out that the business user actually didn't test. To solve this, there are some ways how you can stop the frustration and try to do it once, the manual testing. When you've got your idea what you would like to test in the system, like you've got your test plan in place, procure to pay, some kind of work streams. Of course, that's quite typical one, but you can have different. But we are just referring to the existence of the test plan. If you've got your test plan in place, which are user testing, that's perfect. Probably you're going to have a naming convention. If you don't have the naming convention, we can help you out. If you have this in place, you can ask the business user to record that. What do I mean by this? You can just ask them to record the test case through the workspace of executive automats. So when they are thinking about the recording of a particular business process, like it here, they are simply clicking record. And all right, I'm going to do right now sales. So they are simply going through SC, S2C 00101, sales maintain. They're going to create the sales order, and then they're going to save that test case without any change. So the business user is just navigating through the business process. They are not adjusting the process. They are not applying any Excel files, number sequences. We are not expecting from them to do that. We just want to gain the knowledge from the business process because we believe that there is no definition of them in the organization. Sometimes there is, but this is a different situation, which when you don't have the process definition, description of every manual test case, you can ask them for recording. Then when this is saved, I mean, when the process is done, they simply save, they change the status to ready for review. And then we move to the second point. The test manager or QA analyst is working on that test case. So the test manager or QA analyst is applying that number sequences, Excel files, making subpaths of the process, deleting, cleaning up a little bit the process, but they've got a full length, the full understanding what the business user wanted to do. So it is easier to make sure that the test is adequate. Of course, on the top of that, that this process is dedicated to one entity, you can think of some other additional value. If you are operating in the company which has purchasing process, but the same purchasing process is shared throughout Netherlands, Spain, France, and Czech and Slovakia, you are able to record just one test case, and business will tell the same process is actually in every entity. Only data is changed. So then you are simply cloning those and applying to different entity. So then you are covering a much more area with one test case. And there are, of course, some mechanisms out of the box which are giving you the possibility to create an Excel file for our business process, which will give you a golden process which can be executed, which we're going to have one test case, which is going to, within the execution, go through multiple entities. Just through the possibility that, I mean, for the situation where you've got the same process in different entities. Okay. When this is done and the whole coverage of the system is delivered, so you simply went through the accounts payable, you went to receivables, end-to-ends, you went to project and accounting and product management. You are simply making manual testing conversion within the manual testing activity in the organization. You can, as a side effect, build automation of the test cases. So either way, you have to test for manual verification if the one version of update works. As a side effect, you've got that test cases covered. And then you are simply reworking to make sure that they're going to be reusable. With that being said, you've got a perfect match, and then you can extract more values. So there is something you can explain to the business users that they are not even testing right now. They are going to have additional value for the specific processes that they record. Okay, so this and actually a little bit more ideas that we've got regarding different conversions. We would love to share that with you. So if you're going to be interested in learning more details, how easy you can switch to the automation, how you can save time on the deployment and make it more reliable. This and a little bit more ideas we can share with you. And I'm going to switch now to the third part, which will be using the combination of Azure DevOps and executive automats in organized way in a mid-size or big size of organization. Let's say that we are operating with positions like program manager, the program director, or program owner, test managers. We are operating with QA analysts, developers, and consultants, so quite a big size. Understanding that there is a position of program manager, so the implementation is cross entity, cross country. We've got some elements like a test cycle, an event which starts the need for testing. So we've got that event to happen. We've got planning of what's going to be tested. We've got an execution of that specific plan. We've got rework, so communication back of the results. And then after identifying with owners what happened with those results, what exactly is missing, we are mitigating the risk with consultant or developer. If the results are actually a risk for organization, if we're going to use that in the production, and cycle and a summary. So to have full trackability, to have a dashboard, to have the place where stakeholders can check the results, can check what exactly was checked, what exactly was the result of that testing, and prevent for future events to happen. And of course, make what is one of the most important thing, refinement. We are refining the process of testing to make sure that the next time we can get more value, we can get more out of that activity. So this is in a summary, starting again from your test plan definition. This is some kind of a copy of what we've seen before, different ways how we organize your test cases. This is why we've got two sales in this case. So structure of your test plan. When you've got this and you've got identified what is our coverage, what is our scope of the testing, you are starting in DevOps. So the first thing you have, there are internal and internal needs or releases. By internal, we mean in-house development, ISV's version deployment. External is everything what comes from Microsoft, update one version, update 50, 49, 48, and whatever. When that event happens, so we got information from Microsoft that there was new version deployment, we're creating an epic in the system, a testing cycle, hash update 45, an example. This epic can be stored underneath a specific team, testing team. So this will not interfere with your current development. You can have like a separate vision of your stability of your testing. In that epic, we are defining which modules might be affected by that change. So somebody needs to read through what system is deploying, ideally, to have it more agile, to have quick reaction on those changes. And we are identifying potential areas which are risky, and we are building right underneath that the racing matrix. So we try to understand who help us with data migration. So data management, make sure the test cases can be done. In a simple word, data entity. Big word, but a lot of man days can be saved if you're going to use data entity. Development and triage. So in case that you're going to have some issues with the test cases, it is good to define a consultant from the area and developer who will help you in that specific case. Especially that we see that without definition of who will help you, sometimes the triage takes too much time, and there is a huge chase who I can ask for help in that specific project. And of course, responsibility areas. So we know who is responsible for which area from the business perspective. So I can ask them for clarifying if this is the way how application should work. So when the epic is created by the program manager or actually sometimes test manager, underneath the epic, we create tasks which are addressed to the actual business user. So from the purchase area, we've got Matt, he's responsible for that area. And simply underneath that, we are extracting some information, what kind of processes can be tested, what are the expectations. So the test manager is addressing the potential risk. Matt is giving us information, what should be tested. So out of the 6 tiles in here, he picked 3: agreements, pricing list, and master planning from purchasing. The same thing happened for different area, sales. Out of the 6, somebody took 2 elements, 2 sort of smaller test suits of customer creation and customer collections. And the warehouse, out of the 100%, they took counting process, recalculation, inventory adjustment, and wave distributions. So in that areas, we're going to run the test cases. We build out of those areas a test plan, and we are executing that. Test manager is executing these test cases. And right after that, when the test cases are executed, we are coming back with the results underneath those tasks. So underneath the purchasing, we are coming back and we are giving the information that 30 test cases succeeded. There are 4 error messages. And please review these following test cases. So Matt is reviewing them if they are affected, if actually system is affected due to the new changes coming from Dynamics update. So there might be a new regulation, new functionality, and Matt needs to check if that's actually useful feature or that's an obstacle, and we need to address that with consultant and developer. So they're going to turn it off. They're going to make some modification so it will remain as it was previously. Or if that new functionality is actually something good for the business, and actually we could use that, they just need to adjust the test case in further steps. So it will be, again, a success, a green mark for the stakeholders and program manager, that this is the exactly way how system should work. So we are doing this refinement, maybe not the refinement, but we are doing the triage with all the business owners. So purchasing department, sales, and warehouse. We are just talking with them if this is the expected situation. If yes, if they're going to tell, all right, this is an expected thing, but please adjust the test case so it will next time be completed perfectly. We're going to distribute information to the team that in the purchase section, we've got new functionality which is going to be deployed and new function due to regulations, so on. The same thing in the sales and the warehouse. So everything is green. New function is going to be applied with the production. They are aligned with the business. And then finally, underneath the boards backlog, we see that the testing cycle was delivered because all of the areas are done. There are no rejections. There are no problems identified. Every communication of what was changed, what was tested, what failed is underneath the epic. So we've got full trackability, and we've got the person who I can ask what exactly is going on. So this is a situation where the changes are applied and there is no need for double checking. Of course, in a situation where from out those problems, those findings, we are finding bugs and we can't let them be promoted to production, we are starting to use more test automation. What does it mean? Business identified a bug. Test manager identified the bug, communicated to the business that there is an existence of a bug, and the business tells the developer consultant, please check that. The consultant is actually our developer. They are rerunning the test case, the automatic test case, to find out what exactly happened, to rework, to test their findings, to test their reconfigurations, development, to test if actually that fixes the issue. So they are actually running multiple times the test case. They're limiting communication with the business. There is no need for business to write a whole description and sit on the long calls with developers and consultants to describe the process. They are just dispatching and sending across the organization the test case numbers, so developer consultant can just play back the test case. When this is fixed, of course, test manager can run all of those adjusted areas, or they can rerun a smoke test to verify if there are no other impacts on the environment. But if the ideas they're going to be addressed, everything will again be identified as a success. Again, we are changing the statuses as done, and all of those work, all of those communication, and all of those re-executions, they again are stored here. So we are treating the tasks as one place where we are working on refinement. We are working on triage? As we are working with whole business on making sure that the new updates we're going to deploy will work perfectly. More releases we are going through, more epics we see underneath that specific team, which is, let's say, so-called test automation, and we are able to have full trackability throughout the year. And this is one of the simplest stories, simplest way how we can work with combination of test automation and DevOps. And if you're going to be interested in more details, let us know so we can elaborate a little bit more. Okay, thank you so much. And Matt, I'm going to give you the sharing again.
Thank you, Bart. That was an excellent presentation. I liked especially the parts where you showed how we can. Wait, let me see if I can share my screen. You see it, right?
Yes.
Perfect. I especially like the part when you told us about how easy it is actually to turn your one of your manual test cycles into a semi project into recording your test scripts and preparing them. This is quite useful, and of course, combining the test automation tool with DevOps is a value in and of itself. So thank you for that. I would just like to remind you all about the free opportunity to get certified in Executive Automats. We didn't show you much of the tool, but just showed a brief demo. But the tool has a lot more to offer, and it's especially good to test it out yourself, because then you really can see how easy it is and can feel it for yourself, especially if you've used other tools in the past. Then you will have a good comparison with Executive Automats. So what you will learn in this tool is how, in this certification course, is how to set up the tool, how to record, how to modify scripts, how to create validations, number sequences, how to use Excel for an external data source for your scripts, how to create end-to-end scenarios. And of course, you will be able to just play with the tool after you complete the certification and try a couple of use cases that you can think of. So I do fully recommend you sign up. There's only 30 spots. These tend to fill out pretty quickly usually. So if you wait until Monday, you may not be able to get in. So I would recommend signing up now. The link is on the chat, and now we can move on to the Q&A section.
Yeah, we've got a few
We've got
questions in
some
here. Yeah.
Questions, yeah. Jake, you want to read some?
Yeah, I can read them out. We'll start here with Martin. I like this. He's asking, how are workflows managed? Is it better to disable workflows for testing, or can the tool manage testing workflows? I know it can, but maybe Bart, you can explain a little bit about that.
Sure, definitely. That's a good question. There are two options, and we see them too viable. I mean, this is two ways how the market uses executive automats. Definitely, some customers decide to deactivate workflow to simplify the stream, the testing. That's one option, and the simplification. The other one we've seen is definitely using the workflow. This requires to set a little bit more virtual user accounts. So you are defining a supervisor, person who sends the requests, and maybe another approver. And this needs to be set on the environment. This actually leads you to something which I've already mentioned, the data entity definition. We've got a very nice financial institution in Europe, which is they've created once a data entity, which holds a hierarchy of the organization, a structure of the users. There is a worker-user relation and in position. So when they deploy new data from production, they're automatically deploying data entity to reconfigure the workflow for test accounts, and they can start over and over the testing for the workflows. So there are some automations, there are some ways to make it easy and predictable, but this needs there needs to be a decision to be taken if you go workflow or without the workflow.
Excellent. Maybe I'll read the next one. Also from Martin. Thanks for the question, Martin. Do you suggest running automated regression testing with security roles applied to users, or having all users set as an administrator?
That's a good question. The recording I would do on the admin to make sure that you are recording everything in 100% scope what you want to record, unless you've already have perfectly created roles for the occasion. The execution can be done definitely on specific roles, and this gives you another byproduct because you test your test cases against the security role. So that's again another win-win situation. Always when you think about your test cases, have in mind the possibility to convert. There was a chance with an extension to convert your script into the role, so your pack of the processes can be reflected in one row, which should cover the test cases. So you can sort of make a mechanism which will always make sure that you've got enough access. But if you don't want to use extension, this is something extra. Definitely testing your test cases with a specific set of the rows will give you a bit better understanding if the process works well.
Thanks for that, Bart. Yeah, I guess I'll take the next one, and I think actually I can answer this next one from the customer point of view. I've been working with EA customers over the past 4.5 years, and so it's definitely something that we hear a lot. The question is, how does Microsoft RSAT tool compare to other tools like this Executive Automats tool? And from the customer perspective, what I'm told, first of all, actually, almost all of our customers, yeah, I'd say a good 85% of them were previously using RSAT before switching over to using our tool. And their biggest complaint with that was basically they would use RSAT. It was extremely clunky, not very intuitive on how to do it, especially compared to our tool. But in general, what would happen is they would go through one update after spending, a few months, a good bit of time preparing all of their test cases. And then they would go through an update from Microsoft Dynamics and have to go back through and spend a ton of time reworking all of their test cases. And it was just not feasible for them to continue doing that from an ROI perspective. And so that's why they did switch over to us. There's also a few functionality differences. I think Bart could probably talk to those a little bit better. But for one example that I know of and hear a lot about is with our tool, of course, you can actually multiply your test cases and run them in parallel, so much so that you can do performance testing. We actually have good examples of doing 600, 700 parallel test test executions at one time to test the performance of the system. Whereas with RSAT, that's not a possibility. Bart, I believe you're familiar with a couple of other functionality differences between executive automats and RSAT. Maybe you could talk to those a little bit.
Yeah, most of the changes and the differences which are valuable is the possibility to easily maintain your test cases, to changing the XPaths, to clone, copy steps between test cases, to make the optional steps, make some negative verification test cases, which are quite impossible on the RSAT grounds. Plus, security checking and workflow testing on the RSAT is highly complicated. Maintenance of the RSAT regarding the whole infrastructure, all components that you have to have. This is dedicated for technical resources, and you can't do in such an easy way the manual testing conversion. You can't modify and work in correlation with the business so easily, especially when you've got when you are working in very sort of distributed across the globe organization, where you've got consultants, developer teams, different places, business in different places. Collaboration on automatic testing in the RSAT, I mean, it's possible. We never say no, but it's super time consuming to be delivered. So in the long term, there are a lot of values which we deliver, and in every release we are just making a significant change in the way that it is just improving. So
a couple other points on that too, actually I can add is our tool as well. I believe there's a question earlier. It can test anything web-based. And so of course our focus is on finance and operations, but anything web-based can be tested with this tool. So that's a critical advantage as well. And then the next thing is the support aspect. We're actually highly regarded for our support. And I know whenever it comes to RSAT, you're generally looking on YouTube, on Google, trying to find things. It's quite difficult if you run into an issue with RSAT. Whereas with us, you can reach directly out to myself or our support team, and we can even jump on a call with you and show you how to handle whatever issue it is that you're looking at. So, all right. And let's see here, Matt. Maybe you want to take the next one.
Sure. I'm just looking through these. Maybe we can take the first one from Yarupa. Is a base test plan with test cases available to customers for modification and use. It's a good one. We often get it.
Yeah, more and more we are sharing some basic test cases that we are creating for Contoso. You can use that. Of course, that's nothing stopping you. The easiness of creation of those test cases is mostly pushing our customers so to make them on their own, as they are. They've got some specific fields, they've got some specific extensions they would like to use. So that's definitely value you can use, but normally we see that just a percentage of the package we are sending is used. Also, if you are thinking about using some new functionalities in Dynamics, like new modules you haven't deployed yet, some scripts can just walk you through a specific module, how to create project, an example, or how to create WBS and make some expenses on it. These elements can be also valuable.
Yeah, I think with our tool, that the difference is that you don't really need a pack of common scripts or common test cases, because it's so easy and quick to record the test scripts, and your processes will always differ from the standard. So you will have to modify that prepared test plan, a base test plan. So yeah, we just don't run into this issue because it's so quick to record your own scripts and modify them in EA.
Yeah. All right. Next question here. Yeah. So does this work with NetSuite? Bart, I think you can speak to that.
The NetSuite. I might need to do a little bit of research on that, because I don't know the NetSuite.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely follow up with you on that, Yarupa, about NetSuite and other questions as well.
And there was also a question from Martin. When is this video functionality coming available? Is it the next release, Bart?
Yeah, it is the next release. So you can expect that in end of the February, definitely all the instances of executive automats going to be updated with the version 4.1 or 4.11, and then you're going to have the possibility to convert your processes into the videos as well.
Thanks.
Okay, and let's see here. In CRM automation, had certain challenges to the below scenarios. So creation of a record and performing a search of the same record using advanced find, qualification of lead with duplicate detection, verification of the user's security role and privilege, and verification of Power Automate's flow status.
Sure. Our major focus is finance and supply chain management. We've got an R&D project which is working on CRM only, and we're going to hopefully release this year a package which will be dedicated for CE. We've been, walking through and participating in AXCG summits since 2015 very intensively, and we see that CE and old CRM is a significant problem on the test automation, and actually there's no reliable software which is easy to use, aside of course running your own Selenium, which will be quite costful. And the problem is that the way the structure of the CRM is just complicated, and it makes a significant trouble to identify paths, identify objects by some LMS plus. There is a lot of iframes in it. Some technicalities are the limitation. We are working on new version of executive automats which will handle those, but right now you may struggle with some functionalities in C. Then you can count on our support, so we can try to find for you some workarounds, some XPath changes, some selector changes, some other tricks which will make it work. But it is not so easy as we were walking through finance and supply chain management. In C, it's just a little bit more harder to create the same value as we are creating in FNO.
Thanks for that, Bart. I have another nice question from Yarupa. Does this cover retail, including POS?
Yes, it includes the CPOS. We are able to record transactions in CPOS and do the backend as well in FSCM. We've got also the integration with hardware station, which is something unique. So we can include some barcode scanners in the testing. So that area is quite beneficial. We are collaborating with two probably the biggest brands of retail in the fashion industry in the globe. So you can we can have some nice case studies for you if you're going to be interested in testing the CPOS.
All right, and nice easy question here. Do we have integration with Azure DevOps test plans? And
yes,
yes, we do.
Perfect. Another one from Marcus. Any experiences with doing tests in Salesforce as well?
Yeah. We had an experience in. We had a nice customer in Denmark. We went through with over 30 test cases on Salesforce, and it is looking very good. We've been actually surprised how organized Salesforce is and how we were performing there. We are looking for more expansions in Salesforce, as we wanted to become a Salesforce partner to make more dedicated functions for them, because we see a potential. So if you're going to be interested in walking through the Salesforce testing, just let us know, because we are also highly interested in helping you out. That's a very nice market.
Thanks, Bart. Another one from Sindhu. In FNO, the attachments and workflow configuration scenarios can be automated as the window pops up out of the application. Please confirm. Attachments and workflow configuration scenarios when the window pops out of the application.
So the attachments, yes, because they are file picker, file browser. So we are able to handle the files. That's not a problem for us. The workflow configurator, as it is the non-web application, because you have to install an extension, and this is actually a simple on-premises desktop application. We don't handle that, so we can't go outside from it. But we didn't actually want to, as we don't want to test the configuration, as we probably are not able to sort of modify a lot the standard of the configurator. So,
but what you can do is you can use EA to change the workflows, to upload another workflow and make it a default one. I know because I actually use such a script in our certification program because we always need to refresh that test environment, and I use the script to make the workflow work because we use this workflow for the certification. So
perfect.
Okay, that one's done there. There we go. And next one, what about Enterprise Asset Management Module?
I think you shouldn't have any problems with handling this in the system. Everything what can be done, like this refers to Dynamics overall. Dynamics is created from some kind of a limited number of components, and we are supporting all components which are embedded in Dynamics. Even though they are very unique, they've got some specific data loading features, so on. Thanks to the algorithms and the logic we've created, you are able to record and play back processes which are done in Dynamics in all modules, including ISVs like Flint Foxes, LaserNet, EM, some very different ones we are able to work with. We haven't seen some elements which were hard for us. If you've got some specific extension which is even using iframe and then it starts to get complicated, then we can support that, but we need to develop an extension, a specific function for you. So we will not leave you with some module which will be not supported in FSCM. We just need to sometimes work on them to make sure that it's the new feature which is actually going outside of Dynamics, that it is going to be handled.
Thanks, Bart, and maybe let's do one last question. We've run a little bit over time with this Q&A session, and thank you very much, all of you who stayed with us for so long. So this last question is again from Sindhu. Is EA feasible for Power Platform, like Canvas apps or model-driven apps?
For quite a bit, yeah. For some applications, you will be able to test to make it automatic, but not all of those. There are some limitations, but they are very specific. If you've got very simple ones, I think that's feasible. We can make a quick POC with you, so you're gonna find out how easy it is and then how it works. So I think this will be more a POC session or like a showcase session with us to understand how does it work.
Yeah, I think this is more like case by case, right? The tool can work for any web-based application, but in some, we will find some gaps where our developers will need to develop some additional rules to cover some elements that are not handled out of the box.
Exactly. And to add what Matt said, this is very important for us because we want to create for you a very easy, understandable tool that can be handled by even user without a skill set as a tester. And this leads us to do the technical work for that user to make it very intuitive, sort of to build the skill set on that user. Of course, if you don't have the skill set and we are not supporting the application, I mean, if you've got a skill set and we are not supporting the application, you might find on your own solution how to automate that test case. But since we are focusing on the business users and users without the specific test automation skill set, we want to help you out to empower you with the tool, which will do a lot for you.
All right. Well, I think that about covers it. Really appreciate everybody joining us today. It's always a pleasure to see the interest in test automation. It's obviously our passion, and it's nice to meet other like-minded individuals who are trying to achieve the same things. So really appreciate everybody attending. We will follow up with everybody. If you registered with like a Gmail or Yahoo account or something, make sure to check that email because we'll follow up with you. I highly recommend doing the certification course. This is something that I hear a lot of great feedback about. Also, it's always good to just talk with us. We're happy to answer questions. Very much enjoy talking about this topic. So we look forward to hearing from everybody. The webinar, it was recorded and it will be sent in this follow-up email. All right, Matt.
Thank you very much, guys.
Wonderful job, guys.
Thank you. Stay safe. Cheers.
Cheers.
Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.